Welcome back to round 10 of TRWOW Season 4, the finale. The final episode's title is The World's a Stage and I'm Just Here to Get Squashed by an Anvil by PieDude. Well, this is it. In a few minutes' time, either Lateworm41 or Rhyme will be declared the winner of TRWOW Season 4. Before we get on to results though, there are a few things on our agenda. Firstly, I'd like to personally thank each and every one of our 25 wonderful super voters for this round. In the order when they submitted their votes, thank you to Funo, Arnoob, Thicto, Fordice, Laura Ujo, Neutrality, Daybloom Crow, Maconacroft, Ann Artichoke, Woo Woo, Adamanti, Quartz, Normal Ben, Raven, Turtley, Castercore, Action Guy 777, Pretzel Dinosaur, Evrion, Chomik, Ponium LTE, Nicholas Sia, Leah, Varigold, and Tanya Jobber. I can't thank you enough for helping make this TRWOW finale as accurate as possible, and for doubling the amount of super votes that we usually receive in a typical round. Now that all 10 rounds have been voted on, you may be wondering, is there anyone who super voted in every round? As a matter of fact, the answer is yes. That spectacular super voter happens to be Fordice. For your dedication and commitment to TRWOW, you're granted the title of Flawless Voter. Good job. Here's a list of everyone who super voted in more than half of TRWOW Season 4 rounds. I'd also like to shout out Arnoob, Daybloom Crow, Funo, and Sicto for voting in 9 out of 10 rounds. Well done, you four. Strangely enough, no one super voted in exactly 8 or exactly 5 rounds. Onto Team Flares, and wow, I've never seen such a lopsided Team Flare comparison before. This may be due to me forcing everyone to choose only one of the 2 finalists to root for, but Lateworm has only 2 supporters while Rhyme has a whopping 11, including Lateworm himself. Lateworm is heading into the finale as the underdog in support, but the top dog in performance, seeing as he won the previous 2 rounds. Next, it's time to see what the eliminated and alive contestants had to say in their confessionals. Since it's the finale, I allowed anyone who super voted to send in a confessional. 52nd place Laura Ujo said, E. 28th place Nihonium LTE said, play Jato. 25th place Fordice said, it was a fun ride while it lasted. Also, I swear to God, if I get last once again, I will nuke TR's house down. Good luck, have fun, finalists. 12th place Leah said, awesome, man. Overwhelmingly, non-TR games usually suck. Season ubiquitously successful. What a suspiciously worded confessional. I hope there isn't some secret message hidden within it. 11th place Ann Artichoke said, sorry, Lateworm, I want Rhyme to win. I mean, I did say that on my confessional. Sorry, eulogy. But it still stands. 10th place Quartz said, hey yo, the pizza here. Third place Arnoob said, GG everyone. This is a very relaxing try to play in thanks to the cozy improv results videos, and me not thinking too much about my own placements, due to being invested in Normal Ben's stream run. But when he died, I realized, oh wait, I'm actually in the final 3 and I can win this. So I became pretty invested towards the end. Thank you for hosting, TR, and good luck to Rhyme and Lateworm in the finale. As a final request, here's a song from Super Mario 3D World that I'd like to hear at some point in the results video. It's a banger, and I think it fits the technological theme. Arnoob's suggested song was Beep Boop Skyway, which you'll be hearing at the beginning of the results. Finally, finalist Lateworm41 said, hi, I'm Lateworm41, nice to meet you. And I did not receive a confessional from Rhyme. Before we finally reveal the results, I think it's best that we first take a trip down back memory lane, all the way to round 1. TRWOW Season 4 started all the way back on the 10th of July, 2023. For the first round, contestants were asked how they'd make a hospital stay more enjoyable. The winner was Jamixy, and rounding out the podium were Evrion and Arnoob, who started off with a bang. Rhyme placed at a fantastic 8th place himself. while Late Worm scored a middling 28th place, his lowest standardized rank to date. Other notable placements include future alumni Normal Ben and Reed, who placed in the bottom 5 of survivors. In round 2, contestants were asked how they'd stop an ancient civilization from time traveling. Everyone scored her first round win, and Late Worm recovered from his mediocre round 1 performance by placing in 3rd. This was the first round where I submitted a dummy, with it doing quite well. Rhyme was right behind, getting a decent score of 56%. Normal Ben cut it close once again, being only 2 spots away from death. In round 3, contestants put their BSing skills to test against an imaginary boss. Everyone won once again, and got the highest score of this season at 82.39%. Well done! Late Worm continued his prize streak, and future alumni Daybloom, Crow, and Reed also placed in the top 5, with Reed having recovered from his scrape just 2 rounds prior. Rhyme once again placed in the middle of the pack, and this time, it was future alumni Epsilon who was dancing in the death zone. As opposed to round 2, round 4 probed contestants into the future. Fun fact, this is actually my favorite prompt this season. Normal Ben would rise from the ashes and score a round victory. In fact, his first ever TRWOW round victory. Meanwhile, Late Worm and Rhyme placed back-to-back in the mid-pack. Another fun fact, everyone on this slide eventually made it to alumni. Isn't that cool? Well, perhaps it'd be cooler if the next round wasn't literally the alumni deciding round. This nerve-wracking round, however, would break no sweat from our future finalists, who placed 8th and 2nd out of 15 contestants respectively. From the original 55, thus emerged our 10 All-Star alumni. Normal Ben, who scored his 2nd round win in a row, Rhyme, Epsilon, Arnoob, Daybloom Crow, Mechanicroft, Late Worm 41, Reed, Quartz, and frontrunner Everyone, who surprisingly only scraped into alumni. With the competition tightening, the final 10 were asked to literally step into the digital world and defend against a hacker invasion. Everyone reclaimed her former glory with a 3rd round win, but we sadly said goodbye to Quartz, Mechanicroft, and Reed. Previous round winner Normal Ben only just scraped by. Round 7 deified the contestants and gave him great power, but perhaps not the greatest of responsibility. In the first round of Universal DRPs, Normal Ben and Daybloom Crow sadly met the end of their journey. Everyone would go to secure her 4th round win. However, this would eventually become her last. Round 8's prompt was actually what gave me the idea to use Pokemon to represent the concepts of this season's prompts. To go into more detail, this round's prompt was also shamelessly borrowed from Dark's Mini TRWOW Season -1, which took place over 3 years ago. If you're wondering why I did this, it was because I was using my JR's account to extract TRWOW prompts from years ago to reuse in the present day. As it turns out, Dark's prompts were excellent and some of the only usable prompts because most of the pre-2020 prompts were garbage and wouldn't fit the current competitive TRWOW scene. Anyways, tangent aside, this podium deciding round unfortunately saw the end of Epsilon and the upset elimination of Power TRWOWer Everyone. With that, Late Worm 41, Rhyme, and Arnoob became TRWOW Season 4's final 3. In the penultimate round 9, contestants were asked to fend off against an animal rebellion. Late Worm 41 absolutely dominated and managed to score the 2nd highest score of the season to secure the 1st spot in the finale. Unfortunately, the semi-final was the end of Arnoob, who walked away with the bronze medal. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, round 10, the finale. For the final prompt, contestants were simply asked, your country has just elected its first AI robot president. What's an unforeseen consequence of this? Late Worm and Rhyme both submitted 3 responses to this prompt, and the person with the singular best response will walk home with all the glory. If Late Worm wins, he will get his 3rd round win back to back to back, whereas if Rhyme wins, this will be their 1st round victory. Without further ado, let's jump straight into the results. Going in the order that the contestants placed last time, Late Worm 41 is up first, just like it was last time. Late Worm's lowest scoring response was, aggregate popular opinion determines its agenda. causing it to flip-flop on controversial issues. It looks like the aggregate popular opinion on this response wasn't quite favorable, at least compared to your other two responses. But where did the public rank this entry, and how controversial really was it? Let's find out. "40% is an alright start for a TRP. A standard deviation of 28% might seem like a lot, but this was actually the least controversial response submitted by a contestant. Standard deviation scale having a low of 25 and a high of 40 might foreshadow how controversial the responses got this round. Next up is our second finalist, Rhyme. Their worst placing response was, "History repeats itself. Trained on existing information, it makes the same mistakes as before." I'm surprised this response was a worst placing response, since it was one of my favorites this round. I like the reference to history repeating itself, and the second sentence complements the first really well. Let's see where the existing information of the voters place your response. With a score of 45.6%, you're slightly ahead of Late Worm. Will you repeat your previous round's performance and walk home with silver? Only time will tell. Before moving on to our contestants' second responses, I think it's best if we get the dummy reveals over with. Our lowest placing dummy went to Neutrality, in a stark contrast to last round, where he had the highest placing dummy. This round, Neutrality said, "Speedrunning records. Mass divide by zero coding undefined everything, including inducing mechanical terror." I'll be honest, I really don't understand what this response is trying to say and how it relates to a robotic president. Also, I just understood the T error / terror pun as I was making the result script, so that probably doesn't help either. Let's hope the viewers got this joke faster than I did. Unfortunately, it seems they didn't, and gave only a score of 32%. Well, at least you can say you placed better than 4Dice did last round. Hashtag shots fired. Speaking of 4Dice, here he is. Our favorite train enthusiast said, "Despite the initial concern, it became harder, better, faster, stronger than any other candidate. You must be a daft punk if you didn't get the reference in this response. Get it?" Although it did ask for an unforeseen consequence, this didn't necessarily mean responses had to talk about a negative consequence. It seems 4Dice is the only person this round to take a positive spell on the prompt. Did it pay off? Let's see. Not really. A score of 34.50% is well below both contestants' third responses. At least you can say this is better than your score last round. Also, here's a fun statistic. Your dummy scores have improved every round since you start submitting them in your round 5, so you can call that a small victory. Our last and most successful dummy belonged to Verigold, who said, "Robots are surprisingly easy to assassinate. It only took tripping over his power cord to kill him." Now that would certainly be a terrible consequence of electing an AI robot president. It's a good thing that you can't be killed in this finale, Verigold, seeing as you're already dead. In this trial, at least. Did the voters assassinate this response to the ground, or did they power it up instead? Let's see. It seems they boosted it up to a high of 55%. That's the highest score you've achieved this season, across all of your alive responses and dummies, so well done, Barry. You're definitely ending off this season on a high note. Speaking of ending the season, it's time to return to the contestant reveal, so we can get one step closer to crowning a winner. Back to our finalists, Late Worm is back up once again. His second highest placing response was, "Presidential subroutines invade everything algorithm-based. The Oval Office now reports the weather. An algorithm-based government reporting on literally everything under the sun, pun intended, would be too productive for its own good." Let's hope you're productive enough to climb 5.6% in order to catch up to Rhyme. Did the voter-based algorithm favor his response enough to do so? Let's see. Not quite. With only a score of 43.20%, Layworm remains firmly behind Rhyme. Will this be enough to strike down our most recent 2-time round winner? Perhaps Rhyme's second response can offer a better insight into that question. Rhyme's second response, that is, was AI-generated propaganda posters imitating text made nonsensical glyphs confusing citizens. Well, it's a good thing that you're not an AI, Rhyme, or else we wouldn't be able to read this response. Let's see if voters interpreted this response as nonsense, or if they were swayed enough to upvote it like propaganda. A score of 56.80% improves on your previous score by over 10%. As Rhyme continues to soar, the gap between the finalists is growing ever larger. With both contestants' second responses finally revealed, it's time to move on to first responses. Lateworm 41's highest scoring response was, "It's indecisive. Providing 20 executive orders per second, the human Senate struggles to keep up." While Rhyme said, "It auto-generates generic responses in Q&As. As an AI, I cannot provide an answer to your question." 53 eliminations and 10 rounds later, we're down to the last 2 responses to ever be revealed this season. Lateworm 41 and Rhyme, whoever had the singular best response between you two, will be declared the winner of TRWOW Season 4, while the other contestant will walk home with the silver medal. No more TRPs or DRPs matter now. It's all down to this. I wish you the best of luck. For our grand final reveal, we will reveal vote by vote in the order that votes came in. Here's how this will work. Voters' ratings of Layworm and Rhyme's top responses will be revealed starting with Funo. The scores in square brackets represent the voters' ratings. The scores on our finalist books represents the average of all voter ratings so far. As Funo is the first voter, they give Rhyme an astounding lead of 80%. After 5 out of 25 votes, Rhyme continues to lead with 12% over Lateworm 41. However, a 100% rating to Lateworm and only 20% rating to Rhyme means that neutrality flips the script and puts Lateworm in the lead for the first time after 6 votes. But Daybloom Crow's vote ties up the competition. With Makana Crossroad, we see our first 0% rating of the first responses. Makana seemed to be equally critical of Rhyme's top response, giving it only 20%. Nevertheless, Rhyme regains the lead. As we move on to the double-digit votes, Woo Woo ties up the competition once again. Adamanti returns Lateworm to the lead. But Quartz brings us back to a dead heat for the 3rd time. This time, it's Rhyme taking back the lead after a tie with Normal Ben's vote. This time, it's Turtley who flips back the script to Lateworm after an impressive 100% vote, as we move on to the final 10 votes. Castercore returns us back to a tie for the 4th time. It's really coming down to the wire. two poor ratings by Action Guy 777 put Late Worm back in the lead marginally. But Pretzel Dinosaur's 100% rating to Rhyme completely reverses that. Power to Wower Evrion delivers the first 100-0 rating of the round. Late Worm returns to the front with a solid 60%. Chomix slightly extends Late Worm's lead as we move on to the final 5 votes. With only 4% between the finalists, it's still anyone's game. And with Leah's vote, Late Worm's front-running streak reaches 5 votes, the longest since Rhyme's massive lead in the first 4. However, with only 2 votes to go, Varigold breaks the streak. Rhyme takes over the leading position with a mere 1.67%. Well, it's all down to this. Tanya Chopper's final vote will determine who is the grand winner of all of TRWOW Season 4. In order for Late Worm to win, Tanya needs to rate his response better than Rhyme's by 60% or more. Any less, and Rhyme walks away with the gold. Tanya rated the final 2 responses at and with the second and final 100-0 upset, Rhyme is the winner of TRWOW Season 4. Late Worm 41 takes home 2nd place. Well done to you both, and congratulations to Rhyme. Goodbye, Late Worm 41. It seems the back-to-back winning curse has taken down its 3rd victim, after Evrion and Normal Ben. Late Worm, you played an excellent game, both in the beginning and the end, giving Evrion a run for her money as early as round 2. I applaud you for doing excellently with a key smash response back in round 6, when you created an impossibly spiky battlefield to defeat the hacker. Based on your contributions this season, I certainly would still love you if you were a Late Worm 41. I hope we see more of you in the future, but for now, well done on receiving the shining silver medal. Congratulations, Rhyme, winner of TRWOW Season 4. Despite never prizing in the season of TRWOW, you truly knew when to press on the gas and run away with the finale victory. It seems that the winning trait this season was consistency, as you are by far and away the most consistent of our alumni, with only 13.49% standard deviation between your standardized ranks this season. Perhaps it was your nickname, Everything Extender, that blessed you with the ability to win this season. After all, my book is known to be the extendiest of extenders. Plus, your best response this season mentions going blue, another trait in my book. Rhyme, you are an excellent wower, and the wisest of this competitive crowd of 55. You are truly deserving of this incredible victory. Well done. Here's the finalists' top 2 responses in the 1x1 format. And here's the final leaderboard for round 10. Rhyme had an impressive 9 first-place votes, totaling up to 36% of their total votes, which is incredible. The most controversial response this round, and of the entire season, belonged to 4 Dice. That's right, with a standard deviation of 40.82%, 4 Dice barely beats out E-Tring's previous record of 40.59%, set back all the way in round 1. Speaking of high standard deviations, the average standard deviation this round was 33.40%, which is staggering, considering most rounds have an average of around 26. The lowest standard deviation was shared by Varigold and Late Worm 3, reaching 28.28%, which, in most rounds, would be considered fairly high. Here's a graphical visualization of the race between the top responses. If the vote-by-vote reveals didn't convey it already, it was an extremely tight race, with the winner flip-flopping in almost every vote and numerous times along the way. Layworm's runaway streak at the end just wasn't enough, as the final 2 votes broke his 5-vote winning streak and put Rhyme firmly in the lead. Here's the scores over time for all responses. It's a bit cluttered, but I'd like to draw your attention to Rhyme's 3rd response over here. It started out at 60%, but reached a low of 10% before rebounding up to the mid-pack again, creating this really cool U-shaped path that I've never seen before. If this graph is a bit too cramped for you, the zoomed-in version from the 75 to 25% range might be a bit more helpful. Here you can clearly see how Varigold incredibly caught up to the top 3 responses at the end, from being 10% behind the 3rd place response at the 15-vote mark, to barely snagging 3rd overall above Lateworm's 1st, just at the end. Lastly, as per tradition, here are the ranks over time. I think the most significant thing here is seeing Sicto and Fordyce fighting for not last place at the bottom. Ultimately, it was Fordyce who ended up not last place, so my house isn't getting nuked tonight. Well, I guess that's the end. There's not much more for me to say, and I'll probably put my final thoughts on the season in the announcement channel, since this video is already long enough as is. For now, this has been TRWOW Season 4. Thank you so much for watching, playing, and supporting me for these past 8 months. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything in the world, but until then, goodbye and good luck.